the West Bank exceed 400,000 and control 42% of the West Bank. And as I was stating beforehand, the disengagement from Gaza, where you had the 8,500 settlers who were removed with the pullout of Israel, unfortunately, 14,000 moved to the West Bank just in July 2004 alone. Just in 1 month, you had 14,000 settlers who moved to the West Bank. But despite the fact that there has been a tremendous push by the Israeli government to bring in Jewish settlers, to really put facts on the ground and prevent the creation of a two-state solution. Right now, 2005, the non-Jews still exceed the Jewish population in Israel, which is actually quite insane that you have all these people who are being occupied, who are being subjected to these policies, yet they exceed the number of occupiers and the ones who are implementing these policies. And it's believed by 2020 there will be 8.8 million Palestinians as opposed to 6.3 million Jews. And so again, there's a really big push to make this number dwindle so that there can be more control of the land. But unfortunately that has not been the reality. And as much as Israel is trying to take away the homes and the properties of the Palestinians, Palestinians are still outnumbering the Jewish population. These are some of the settlements that you see in the West Bank. They're everywhere. Wherever you go, you see settlements. And it's like you see, they're up, a lot of times they surround villages from, on the hills. You will see settlements surrounding villages, really creating enclaves for the Palestinians. So the Palestinians live here, and the settlements surround these enclaves. And a lot of settlers, it's interesting, a lot of settlers are actually people from Europe, Jewish people from Europe, Jewish people from America, because Israel has a thing called the law of return, where if you are Jewish, you can come to Israel and gain citizenship automatically. And so quite often what you see, and what I encountered when I was there, settlers who are from Brooklyn, from New York, and they come and they basically move there and they're granted citizenship, but you have Palestinians who are being kicked out of their houses, and I'm going to talk about house evictions in a little bit. You have Palestinians who are being kicked out of their houses, they have no right of return, they're refugees, and they're not allowed to come back to their house. They're not even allowed to visit their houses.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is kind of like when these events that I've been coming to. Why is it that there's a need for kind of like that ridicule, like that girl with that flag? I'm assuming it's a girl, I'm not really sure. Why is there that need for the settlers to kind of like throw it in their face even more? Like, hey, we're on your land as it is anyways. Why keep pushing it? I mean, seeing what the Jews went through in Europe, in Germany, why? Like, I can't really understand that or like put like.
It's the same thing here. I mean, if you look at the people who immigrated here when they first came, they were ridiculed, and then when they came to part of, the white majority, because when Irish people came and Jewish people came and German people came, Scandinavians came, they were not part of that, the Nordic Europeans, and so they were considered inferior. But now that they are part of the majority, what do they do to other people that come here and immigrate? The same thing we're doing in Arizona. We forget that we're immigrants. This is not, and when she first started with that, the map, you can look at Native American land, and Native American land looks identical to that, so that's not their land that they're on.
And I think that's exactly what it is. It's a history of, again, it's imperialism, colonialism. There's a deep sense of racism. And unfortunately, that is just the reality of it. And when you go there and you are there as an Arab or as a non-Jew, you see that racism, unfortunately. And it's a sad reality. But that is why, for me, it's not that complex, unfortunately. You see this history time and time again, whether, again, white imperialism. You see it historically spanning history. So. But there is a deep sense of racism, unfortunately, when you go there. And as a Palestinian, you experience it on a daily basis. So now moving out of the West Bank into East Jerusalem. So the West Bank has Gaza, the West Bank and East Jerusalem has also a completely different reality for people who live in East Jerusalem. And this reality is very much based on this sense, this very, very open sense, that Jerusalem is to be the united capital of Israel. Even though East Jerusalem, based on international law, based on every single international treaty, is supposed to be, is actually considered occupied territory, for Israel, it is considered their capital. And so there's an active process now of evicting Palestinians because of this desire to unite West Jerusalem and East Jerusalem as the one united capital of Jerusalem. And this is a very recent quote. Benjamin Netanyahu said it when he came here at the AIPAC conference a few weeks ago, that it's not a settlement, it's our capital. So what is happening there, the settlement expansions that are happening there are not they're not, you can't consider them settlement expansions because there's supposed to be a settlement freeze. It's actually part of a process of making Jerusalem united as a capital and expunging it of its Palestinian residents. And the way that this expungement happens is it's actually systematic. A lot of Palestinians in East Jerusalem are denied building permits under the urban planning. They're given reasons like urban planning. They're denied building permits. They're denied any sort of permits to even, make their houses, renew their houses, make improvements in their houses. They're denied those permits. There's even actual active evictions where the Israeli government will come and will kick people out of their houses in the Sheikh Jarrah area specifically. They'll kick them out of their houses, and the next morning you'll have settlers who just flew in from New York take over your house. And I actually want to show a video about this because it was covered. It's been something that's been happening quite often.